Yes, good morning, everyone. Since this is the first class for your intellectual property right law for this semester, I'll be taking your unit 1. Okay, I'll be taking your unit 1 of this IPR paper 5.5.4. It's not vast, or it's not that big comparing to other units, since it's just the introductory part of the subject. But I think it's very important if you uh, concentrate on this unit, because every time you will get one questions from this topic, from this unit. So I request each and every one of you to attend the class, okay? And I'll be giving you cases and materials through the common group, WhatsApp group. Okay. So today, I think most of you are present. 48 students. We are 48. I think 47 students. Today, I think I'll give you books which you uh, which you
Miss Audio mute.
oh, sorry. Okay, I'll give you books, the reading materials. Since I have some problem with this, with my laptop, I'm not able to jot down all the list of the books. So I think I'll read out, and I think you can write it down. Okay. Uh, in nang mani syllabus bua kanin tem su oma. Okay. The suggested readings are there in your syllabus. Apart from that, kakadu koplo dewa more atem katia atsansu. There are more materials apart from the suggested readings mentioned under your syllabus. Okay, so I wanted to write down this authors. Number one, mm, for your trademarks. Okay, this is also important for your LLM, for the higher studies. For your trademark, Ashwani Kumar Bansal, A.K. Bansal, Law of Trademarks in India. Law of Trademarks in India by A.K. Bansal. Okay, that is a very good book on, especially on trademarks. So that you can write down. Then uh, V.K. Ahuja, Law Relating to Intellectual Property Rights. V.K. Ahuja. V.K. Ahuja, Law Relating to Intellectual Property Rights. I think the latest is 2017. Okay. And the same author, V.K. Ahuja, Law of Copyright and Neighboring Rights. Law of Copyright and Neighboring Rights. National and international perspectives. Okay, both national and international perspectives. Then you can also look Alcachola, Law of Copyright. Alcachola, Law of Copyright. Comparative perspectives. Comparative perspectives. Then you can also take this book by B.L. Vadera, okay? Law Relating to Intellectual Property, Dr. B.L. Vadera. Dr. B.L. Vadera. Wadehra, Vadera. Vadera. Also, you can write P. Narayanan. P. Narayanan, Copyright and Industrial Design. P. Narayanan, Copyright and Industrial Design. You can write one more. W.R. Cornish, W.R. Cornish, David Llewellyn, David Lewelyn, Llewellyn, and Tanya, Tanya, Tanya. The name of the book is Intellectual Property Patents. Intellectual Property Patents, Copyright, Trademarks, and Allied Rights. Intellectual Property Patents, Copyright, Trademarks, and Allied Rights. Okay, these are some of the books which I want you to have. Okay, if it's possible, you buy it for your own keeping. Okay, because if you take it from the library, you will have to return it. So I think these books are like, if you are planning to do your higher studies, further studies in intellectual property right law, then I think you should buy books. Okay, at least 2 or 3 books from the list which I have given you. Okay, so these books will be sufficient for this intellectual property right law subject. Dang ho tan khan mo I copyright there, trademarks there, katiang ho patents tan khan ashan pa che wacha ashan bin in enzwan acha big ka umzel donta for copyright alka chola te kha chi kami azia ha wa kha te kha poi mo chain ti nga chuan trademarks a khan ek bansal te kha khang sian te kha mo abi kin including donta khang si khana kina e tuna tan chuanin engeni ashan pa luk khan le thelo mo ulang in lo shiat ve tan le in lo nei ve thi chuan khan kha acha don tu ka chuang chuan kan ron shim chang le kha le ka bu thale le kha wa kha chuan asan chu in suggested reading sa hianin karon soi chen ka chu ani khat kha chu oma ma se adang atam zo kha om lo wa chu wang chuanin kami khai in lo nei thi chuan that will be very good for you. Okay. Have you started IPR class for other teachers?
Yes, Miss.
Engin chanto.
Unit 2 le 4 is claim chi akan la khoi.
Oh, unit 2 ka patents more. Unit 2 patents se copyright form. What is intellectual property then? In zero to changsuan introduction ate khanan sui to kalina intellectual property in zero to changin. Can you please enlighten me? Again, intellectual property too. Anyone? Class has already been taken. Kan zero ki don swan introduction akan chen lang puya. At lang puya in angvek don kan thil zero kain angvek don ta subang swan. What is intellectual property? From the classes which you have attended. Yes, anyone?
The property which cannot be touched and feel, which cannot be
The
seen.
property which cannot be touched and feel. Yes, that is one characteristics of intellectual property. But what is the main thing when we talk about intellectual property? There is something, okay? The main thing, the most important thing. What is intellectual? What does this intellectual? There is something intellectual and property, okay? Intellectual property, we are going to deal with intellectual property right law. We are going to deal with law, but first of all, we need to understand what is intellectual property. When we talk about intellect, intellectual. It talks about something which pertains to something coming out from the brain, from the human intellect, right? So you need to understand from that. Okay, intellectual property. It's one. Finna, more something genuineness, some genuinity. It refers to that. Okay, so you need to understand the meaning of the intellectual property itself. Property is something which can be touched, right? I think you have already, your teachers have already talked about the property, that introductory part. So when we talk about property is something which can be touched. We can feel them, we can touch, we can see them. So, but intellectual property, on the other hand, is something which cannot be touched as such. Okay, we cannot touch it as such, we cannot see it as such, but it is a property. So property can be broadly classified under two heads, where they talk about tangible property. Okay, the tangible property is something which can be touched, like this remote or the car or the laptop or the table or anything which can be touched. And on the other hand, intellectual property, when we talk about that intellectual property, it's something which is intangible. It is a property. Property is in the form of patents, copyright, okay, trademarks. These are the intellectual property which springs out from the human intellect. Machine finna mo, machine brain vanga, something which arises from the intellect part of that human, okay, that is created, some formula, some ideas which has been formulated into something physical. More the end product is physical, tangible, of course, but the ideas spring out intangible in the light more to intellectual property human intellect, human brain. For example, I am writing a book, or I'm writing a novel, or I'm writing a poem. Or I'm composing some songs. Okay, I'm writing some lyrics. So from the human mind, something which springs out from the human mind, maybe the quality of the thing is not that high. Quality must say if there is originality, okay, if there is no copying from others' work, okay, that is something which is copyrightable, okay, which falls under the copyright law, which is protected under copyright law. Intellectual property so I will share you. Today we will touch just the introduction of this intellectual property. I will share the screen. I have not prepared many slides, but still we'll do the introductory part, the characteristics and what is intellectual property. I think you have some knowledge because we are in this IT world, okay, this era. We are talking about intellectual property time and again. Last year also, we have this webinar on intellectual property. So I think you are familiar with it. Anyway, let's start with this introduction. Is it visible?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes, I have already talked about what I have written down in the slide. It is an intangible property, creation of human mind and human intellect. Okay, so something kan riru wa kan sen mo kan riru wa kan sen na kami chagaron swa ka kanong litani subang swanin a form motalin za thak ni shinta. It is a product of human ingenuity, knowledge and skills besides labor and capital. This I have just given you. Literary work produced by the authors. Okay, when we talk about literary work, writing a story, I'm writing down a story, I'm writing a book. Okay, these are the literary works. So that is something which is intellectual property because it is protected under the Copyright Act. Okay. Then musical work produced by the musicians. These are an example of intellectual property. Now the definition, the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. This we will be studying in detail in the later class. WIPO is an agency of the UN. Okay, you have to remember that, an agency of the UN. So it is the largest agency which deals with the protection and promotion, okay, of this intellectual property. So they defined intellectual property as literary, okay, all the writings, okay, artistics and scientific works, performances of performing artists, phonograms, sound, okay, some musical sound and broadcasts, inventions in all fields of human endeavor, scientific discoveries, industrial designs, trademarks, service marks, and commercial names. When we talk about service marks, those marks like the Blue Dart, FedEx, and service, from the mark we can know that this service is very good, it's reliable, okay. And commercial names and designations, protection against unfair competition and all other rights resulting from intellectual activity in the industrial, scientific, literary, and artistic fields. Okay, so this is the definition given by the WIPO, which talks about different fields, different kinds of intellectual property under this. Okay, this definition we will be dealing in detail in the later classes. And the second one is a compendium of patent statistics 2005. It says that intellectual property rights allow people to assert ownership rights on the outcomes of their creativity. Okay, to assert ownership rights, they have some ownership rights on the outcomes of their creativity and innovative activity in the same way that they own physical property. Okay, so even though physically that intellectual property, Indian writings, writings physically it might not be in our custody. Okay, but we have the copyright over it. Okay, because these writings, they are subject to piracy. Mean theft idea ang zuzui kan mo kan thiu ti kan work ang zuzui kan lo copy nga lo zer ve theta base copyright intangible ni tak su khata physically in own lo ma ila protection ani theina la ya kha mo khala intangible tangible takin kan bula khan da thelo ma ilang kan nan cha thelo ma ilang mo da cha thap thelo ma ilang any protection in some form. Intangible property intellectual property in a characteristics. Now let us deal with the characteristics of intellectual property rights. Okay, first one, it's negative rights. The first one, negative rights. IP are negative rights, as they are a right of the owner to restrain others from doing certain things or control its use of the subject matter by others without the owner's permission. Okay, so first of all, it is a negative right for the rest of the world. Okay, for the rest of the world, this intellectual property right, one of the characteristics is that it gives negative rights to the rest of the world apart from or other than the author himself. More in any field like the copyright or the trademark or GI or the patents. Okay, for example, the pharmaceutical companies, they found out a vaccine for COVID-19. More COVID-19 vaccine. USA they invented a COVID-19 vaccine. Okay, one pharmaceutical company of the United States, like for example, let's say Covishield. We are all taking Covishield. This one, this vaccine, though we have taken this Covishield vaccine, but the patents will lie on the United States. So for that patents, India has to pay a huge amount of money. Oh, kami patent ne wangkan for a period of 20 years. Okay, for a period of 20 years. Kami ni wangkan and patent wangkan. We cannot make it. Okay, we don't have the formula of making that Covishield because it's under patent. It's under the protection. So, som hi chung chuan India kan asiam ve thi lawang. Oh, asiam thi lawa. Chuan patent right ne wangin kami kan ati to so tang. Oh, kami am si ka negative rights. So, negative rights means during this period, no country is allowed to make the same vaccine. Okay, so this is what the negative rights talks about. Then positive rights to the owner as positive rights. It means something positive means giving benefit to the author, giving benefit to the one who made it, who invented it. So, for example, if I write a book or if I write a story, okay, I write a story, it is a literary work, okay. So the story which I have written can be translated by other, it can be translated in other languages. I write a Mizo story, so that story, it can be translated in English or in different languages. So all those rights, like I can make another person to translate it, okay. So for translation, I can assert, okay. It's like that. Or the story can be made into a play or a movie, okay. So it's like that. So positive rights for every entertainment.
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
Okay, for every right that accrues, we will give royalty to the author. So this is what positive rights talks about. The third one is a time-bound rights. As I have said, IPR are limited ownership. Please mute yourself.
모놈 뭐야? 뮤트. 모놈 뭐야? 뮤트.
Okay. IPR are time-limited ownership rights except for trademarks or GI. So mostly, like for copyright, I have if I write a book, I have a copyright over that book for lifetime of author plus 60 years. Okay? Kadam sung zong ba ka katinua kan 60 years ka copyright kalniya. More like for patents, I think it's around 20 years. Okay? So katiang kan time bound mechanism tani designer depo. Oh katiang si ka. So bang suan time bound rights ka. This is one of the characteristics of IPR. And this number 4, intangible property. It is simply the property created by the application of human mind. It is non-physical and it derives its value from the idea. Okay, so these are the characteristics of IPR. Do you have anything to say on the characteristics of IPR? Okay. So in Gramophone Company of India Limited versus Birendra Bahadur Pandey, AIR 1984, Supreme Court 667, the Supreme Court has observed that intellectual properties are the brainchild of the authors, the fruits of labor, and therefore considered to be their property. So though it is not permanent, okay, there has, after a period of some years, it will be transferred to the public domain where it is free, everyone is free to utilize that materials, but only on the expiry of that period. Okay, so the Supreme Court in this case held that intellectual properties are the brainchild of the authors, the hard work of the author, and therefore it is considered to be their property. I think Kinds will do tomorrow. Since today is the first day, I think I'll stop here. Do you have any comments on this intellectual property? In policy, intellectual property chung sang I need your opinion inge isoi du in nation shim first class near class chen han mok lavin inge do you want to say anything, you can contribute anything so that again kema interaction om khanin jiti du tan sia de de kan tin thil cha thil inge ni idea set on swak na nang mani inge ni ngai dana inge intellectual property I interest in so in issues tinge tum la ri ru alo oma khatyang chung sang ang te ka soi du ten ni so
Hello, Miss.
yes, can you hear me? Yes.
You lo na ho be thì mới là tuần lai á team chuột card ding I love you anh chị ta ako ka an genu kaya kan tu chenin aling ka siang yan min lo te ni ka ka ti ge kan ka ka ya ka anh nam shem don ni te enge yang kan ma la don ni te boy sa lang
chung ka che te mi alo ke ti hello hello I chung ka che te lo ne yes what were you saying iso ya ka a break more han se che lok te
tuần lai mi zo film chuột thar ka ding I love you di hamo mi ka ko ka an pili ka ta an tia kha tiang vel ka hemi IPR chung mi kha ni thing ngem chuan engi a shen ma ni ta ang kha tiang vel ka ma lo la don ta ni la
of course movie until the shang among music there a script there copyright shang so an overall movie ka I think an zia ka shilawa producer ne na kan nge a copyright ka an pe lokem ka shilaw ni because way back in the 1980s 1990s when a Bollywood movie in Swan vai film po zaya unchin tani more there used to be nge around 5-6 songs in a movie, in a Bollywood movie, okay? So, ala talk lawa kami lo sa ala lar lawa. Swan producer kan more producer how can in a movie producer can they have all the copyrights on the songs, on the script. Once the movie is made, okay? The right is set on the producer. So once one the singer or the playback singer. Can you hear me?
Miss,
Miss,
paano
a
sa
break.
luto?
Oh, a break zo cut talk in a break zo.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, Miss, a break zo Itong robot deuh hlek chang om.
Ka signal hi thalo lu tu ka kan wifi hi bu in current kan nei chian lo wangin aron om lo
Oh.
om le thina so tu na han ka phone data kan thak sin ti khan chiang de wem
Oh, clear to miss tihan.
oh class si dang za theng ka 11:15 to 12:15 tro okay eng chin khang in sha tu sui kha in sha mum man lo wem
Bollywood vel thing thakan shia mis.
okay lo sei zero o khami eng lo 100 books a khan in sha lo chuan a chen chu ka lo sei char char zela tu na khan movie chung sang i ron so ta ka ron sei zaw ni kha dengi I love you a khan mo Bollywood movie po mana khan man lai 1980s so ve la khan mo 1990s so ve la khan mu te ma khan ha om chuk chin kha ka ta khanin producer ne na han lo pe top chi ti chu copyright kha movie ang top khan mo ta khanin anu wa khan khami song sa kha an sa phi to lo thina ni om sia chu khami film review ang ani lo kha chuan a shan pa khan a chan chu songs te azai ho performance rights of the ashan pa fekin om ta ma se kha kha producer an lo hlan to thina wang khan producer khan lok na zong zong a tel thin ta ni chu ma se tu na chu ani to lo wa chan chu khati na zon lo khan na familiar no lu tu ka chuan tu na question a khan dingi I love you kha lo leak out ta copyright infringements ani nge ya ni kha kha no copyright infringements ani nge ya chuan Copyright Act 1957 Maya khan shem na po oma oh mase committee don chuan ti ne wangai don oh khalaya ane ne ulai ka chu tu na chuan kan ni lo ma copyright kha om nge ya copyright chu a film to pa khan producer khan lo ni ta that's one copyright infringement ni a khamia khan penalties po omang ti chin ba kha chu inge question kha ka chang lo bim so ana alo leak out baka anlo alink te khan lo share ra tro IT Act noya kha chu omle thi ze lang kami copyright act noi ba kha khan mo violation kamo infringement kha inja thiam
Yes, miss.
okay in videos in off nge ka mu thei lo se tu ma in videos in mail ka box si lo chu bang sa chat in in videos khan on chu ulang a chatura nia class as on videos si on toila chang unlike the previous semesters this semester we'll switch on our video okay audio can mute those one there won't be a problem I think so I think with that note with that I think I'll wind up for today since this is the first class I want you to look into those books do not zona chale the to anga online depon delivery depot hele chang to wangin you just Google account you just check out the contents okay the contents of those books you take one general del kapakatan la sin unang for example you take VK Ahuja law relating to intellectual property right law halo la sin ta unang mo swan kami duwa kan engineer abi kan study do swan kami alkachola te mo bansal di vel hobaka in Sindonia. One side by side, we are working on this SCC kami SCC online tour ka college po materials in natin na turin in lamatan and browse in na tura ti akha kami ta ka su in lamatan so na ti don le don lo ka shilo ma se library as one SCC online na katuna yan subscribe turin na nilo meka sumi sunya na sina menon betu pa kata ka ang class chan donin ki mahan ina yan ti be katung dewa sumi sang ve sumi ta materials hi api angin kanin peng online ni don wangin angin library atin browse lo me kya wang kan case materials sele inge notes poi mo ang si te po impact dunga ma say anyway it's just unit 1 so we won't take much time for completing the unit ma say a phone convey ka introduction le hemi ashwal mum tu mo all the contents are there in this unit 1 so the first thing is if you can have the books, if you can go through it, okay, that will be very good for you. Attendance.